So I got some Corona chocolate. Corona. This word is everywhere. So now my mind is so confused. But the cashier was Chinese, and she put her hands. I put my hands, then I put my mouth. Good chocolate, made in Europe, where lots of people got sick, and I assume that the the chocolate factory worker did not wash their hands. They went washroom, wiped their butt. No, it would be gross to think that way. But they, they go back to work. They did not have the hand sanitizer because the world ran out of hand sanitizer, and they start working on chocolate, right? Which I'm going to eat. And this one from Poland. So the lady who sold it to me is I bought it from a small European store, like an Eastern European store. The woman is from like Czechoslovakia or Slovakia or something. She did not wear gloves, and probably she had relatives coming from Europe, which makes me wonder every time I touch something from Europe, like a Trump. He is so wondered and worried, and he is so wondering, thinking of his country citizens, because he's the top leader and he is responsible, because everyone think that the government is responsible for their health. So this guy, the top guy in the country, decided to stop the travel from Europe to United States. So probably Canada is going to do the same thing, because generally Canada follows whatever happens in the States. Canadians are like, oh yeah, we are the little brother, and if it works for those guys, yeah, it should work for us as well. But in any case, that's talking about the viruses. That's the idea. But I got carried away by this word coronavirus and stuff. And imagine that when there is a mutation, because that's the theory behind this whole thing, there was a mutated virus that started to spread around. So a virus gets mutated by through different ways. Many times get mutated through exposure to different external agents, like nuclear radiation, UV exposure. Of course, if the UV doesn't kill it, it's going to do some damage into the virus DNA. And could be a chemical. So it does a change in the code. So like you have code YBZ900-333 Zulu Beta, whatever. And some bits can get reversed, or a bit can go. And I'm not a scientist. My kid is learning genetics in the university. And but it's not a science that I know. I can't talk about it. So this virus gets mutated, and it's a very complex code. It's not like a virus has two, is like a binary code made out of 3 bits, and if this virus here in Asia, in China, get exposed by one nuclear particle, then because it's only that simple code, it has high chance to get mutated the same way in a different country. No, the virus code is very long and complex. It's a living organism. It's a living organism that has lots of functions. So each function and the shape of it. So if you look at the pictures of this virus that are published over the internet, it's a complex shape, and to give that shape you can't have a shape dictated or designed based on a very, very simple code, like okay, you have a 3 cubic something, no, or a 3 factor 20 x w something. You can't have that. So it has to be a complex code that dictates the shape. So you can draw a sphere, let's say, with a simple formula. But this virus is not just a sphere. It has little things that make it look like a crown or something. And each one does not have equal spacing between these little pikes or spikes or whatever. It's like the distance between those are dictated by a code, part of the code. So now internally, this virus has a power processing plant that allows this thing to convert energy from something to something and make it move, make it divide. And even dividing, it's a complex process, and it's written in a code. So all these functions that appear very, very simple and basic, which I'll describe in a bit, how much intelligence required for that virus to multiply, all those are written in the code. So it's not a simple code at all. It's much simpler than a human's, but it's not simple at all. Now, if you have a nuclear particle that hits this thing and damage the code, okay, what's the chance of this virus here in China to have exact the same damage, the same mutation, the same change into the DNA? What's the chance to have exact the same one in different country, let's say in Italy or some other country? That chance is almost zero because of the complexity of the code. You could have let's say, nuclear particle or some other agent, external to the virus, that makes a change, that makes the virus, let's say, to look this way compared to the one in China. Yeah, you can have that mutation, but the functionality, the way this virus works, is still remain the same. So the way it multiplies, the way how long it takes to incubate and stuff, those all remain all the same. If you, let's say, if the agent that changed the code and mutate the virus affected the incubation period, then all these viruses incubate differently, the ones in China from the one. So we assume that, so based on the mutation uniqueness, we assume that the virus originated in China, okay? They stated that, and start spreading across the globe through people moving around, okay? It's obvious, and it was detailed in the reports. So it takes one virus which was mutated in a very, very specific way. It was one individual virus that came out, got mutated by this external agent, and multiplied to such a large number, you don't have the number, trillions or whatever, that infected so many humans. Okay? So from one individual you can populate the whole globe. How is possible? Is the virus intelligent? Maybe not. According to our standards. According to our standards, you have to have a brain and a nervous system in order to process information. Right? That's the thing that comes from the science, their limited knowledge about life. And don't blame them, because they help you the way they can. Like the doctors, the doctors, some of those, they think they know everything, but they have limitations. So if there's nobody around to help you, you rely on the doctor and ignore their cockiness, they ignore their nose up attitude, or some they have some attitude, like even scientists, they have some attitude, some of those, like some little bit of big of ego, but they help us to have a better life, right? So you have to accept that. Now, this virus, like I said, spread all across the world. Think of the humans. So you have a human that the Bible say that was one individual, was Adam, and now the God design a mutant, a mutation, which is Eve. So Eve, according to the religion, Eve took a rib of Adam and made Eve. So at that time, the 2000 something years ago, when the Bible was written, nobody knew anything about DNA. Nobody knew anything. How these guys came up with the idea that God took a rib out of this guy, because God has power to do things without making someone hurt, or has power to teach someone pain, whatever God wants, right? So how was possible to take the rib out and make another creature, identical or almost identical creature? So the basics was, the idea was, even the religious people did not know anything about DNA, was that if you take a piece of someone's body, like you use the DNA, you use the code, then you can make another almost identical creature. But how those, or that God, was able to do things from one DNA which was made for male and modified into a female that would be the counterpart, or would be the partner of that male, so they together could spread the seed across the globe, across the earth, right? How was that possible at that time? So how the Bible came up with this type of concept that God took a rib out. How do we know? Does this idea came from a visionary who, like in his sleep, or his visions, or his meditation, was told by the God, this is what happens, and then they wrote the Bible? I don't know. I did not read the First Testament in full. I cannot listen the first audio, but they don't say exactly how the author of those texts came up with this type of idea, where the idea came from, unless, like I said, it was coming through a vision. So it's possible that God created this this version of a monkey after lots of thinking to make a more advanced monkey. And then it was like a mutation of the monkey. So God played with this code into his computer lab, his computer thing, and mutated couple of codes, advanced, made some genetic modifications, and got to the latest versions, version 2.50007. We call ourselves humans. So who knows? Or God just thought about the material world, and we are all thoughts, and we feel this thing is solid because it's made out of energy, right? That comes from the source, comes from the God, and is modeled. These atoms are modeled. So the material atoms of silicium, like a silicon or whatever, that made the glass, and other components, maybe calcium, whatever they put in the glass. Those shapes, those atom shapes, are dictated by a code into the energy field. Code that, like our DNA, gives the shape of the atoms, gives the forces that keeps them together, forces that keeps them apart from other atoms, otherwise everything would collide into one. Does it make sense? So the atoms have electrons or other particles that fly around, they do whatever they do. But to have a shape of an atom, then you need a code. Or you don't really need the code, but you need to design that atom and tell each particle, each electron or something, how to fly around and how fast, and how fast to move, which dictates also the centrifugal force. And that's according to the nucleus, right? Nuclei. So according to that, particle, atomic particle weight determine the force, because weight in our world is related to the amount of energy. But in our world we just sense something because we are supposed to sense that. So these flying electrons, if they fly too slow, right, they might get pulled back onto the nuclei, to the center of the atom, right? So it's a very specific speed. If one bit of speed changes, that atom collapses or disintegrates, right? So everything is very precise. How is that precise? And what it makes this world to be that stable? So why this steering wheel, why my hands are not collapsing or not disintegrating? Why is not that? And I'm telling you, it's an energetic field that is controlled. It's intelligent. It's controlled by either a code that it was written into the field, that according to that code or that information, maybe we call it code, or I call it code because we know this concept, but maybe in the creators or creator concept, it's totally different. So could be some sort of information that tells the field how to organize itself, right? It's like, I think this field is smart, it knows stuff. Yeah, it could be God all over the place, that we are made of the same field, the same God, the same energies. Anyway, so that's, I'm going around, yes, but it's connected to viruses and with humans. So humans from one individual were able to spread all across the globe. So the the evolutionist theorists, those Darwin believers, followers, they think some monkeys here, some monkeys there, some monkeys there. They all evolved and became humans. Wow. Wow. Such a good theory. Because I believed in it. And I can tell you something. So, species evolve at different rate. Right? So they evolved at different rates according to the environment. So let's say you have monkeys here, monkeys there, monkeys there. And these monkeys had to adapt to the environment. But the globe, the earth, is in a continuous change, a movement, and all the continents move around. Ocean change, temperature change, you have glaciation, you have hot season or hot periods of the earth evolvement or earth life and stuff. Everything is in motion in the material world. And if you had few groups of monkeys, ones are colored in something that after evolution got to white people, some other groups of monkeys that after evolution got into black people. It tells you that all these monkeys across the different areas, they probably evolved exact at the same rate, because over hundreds of thousands of years, if they evolved at different rates, so let's say this one goes slower because they have harsh environment, they have to deal with this and predators and stuff, individual die or something, so they have a slow rate, but this one goes fast. So now this one will not catch up with this one. So the black ones, the black monkeys, or not the black monkeys, like the monkeys that evolved into black people or dark color skinned people, right? We're here, and these ones were like a few thousand years ahead. The white people, the Nazi, right? The Hitler guys, the Hitler ancestors. And now that's a good explanation because for the racists, because you see, these black monkeys, they were oppressed by the environment. They had challenges. They could not make it. So they may be dumb, So but the white ones, the ancestors of the white ones, they move fast. They were competitive, this natural selection. So they move pretty fast, and that's why we, after hundreds of thousands of years, we got to this point in 2020 when we have these black people who are so not equal to the white people, right? We treat them like they are some less advanced people, right? That's the white people did, and they still do. I don't know if it makes sense how I describe this process. But if you think that it was one, multiplied because it had a partner, and spread across the world, and then some individuals started to mutate because the environment challenges. So the guys in Africa got darker skin to adapt. Those in Asia got this size of the body because of that. So adaptation. So it took like 50,000 years or 100,000 years, whatever, to see some changes because of this genetics, the genes can be unlocked and locked, put back to sleep, something, because there is a complex code that we don't know yet, that also ensure that we survive, so ensure our survival through adaptation. So the code is adapting itself. So now there are mutations with good intent, could be from God. So that's different topic. So now, if I go back to first idea that this virus was one individual that got mutated and starts spreading across the world. But if you don't believe that was one, it tells you, it leads you to two hypotheses. One would be that there was a large number of viruses, the exact same viruses that came from one, and they were multiplied in the lab somewhere, right? And then those were able to infect few humans who started to spread the disease across the globe. So a lab modified virus, because if you get just one individual, that guy has a very, very tiny chance to survive, unless the virus got mutated inside of an animal or inside of a living organism. So if that happened, it altered its own DNA. That's a theory that might work. So I don't know what happened, but that's the way the virus got mutated inside of a living organism and got spread across the globe through human transmission, right? So that's the way I see it. Otherwise, like I said, you're tempted to believe that it was a lab made, or it was the same creator, the same entity, the same God who came out with a different code in the field, or different idea. Thought, okay, we'll generate something to challenge these guys, because they are too they rely too much on the modern technology. So now if we slow them down, because if they advance that fast, if they rely on the technology and they multiply that at that rate, because of they have too of an easy life, and they are not using the environment the way they are supposed to, they are not learning anything from their environment, then they will pop up lots of babies because they have cool life, right? But they will run out of resources in about 60 years, right? So let's give them some trouble, right? So once it's a famine, or it's a nasty disease, a virus or something like that, guess what? Women won't want kids. I mean, guys are kind of dumb, some of those, they want to have sex anyway. But women, they have to look after the kid, they have to nurse, they have to take care of the kid health. Of course, they together do, man and woman, but generally the moms are taking the biggest part of the responsibilities on their shoulders, looking after the kid. And they know, you know what, it's not a good time for me to be a mom, right? It's not. It's a disease out there. It's people don't have much food, people don't run out of toilet paper, so how I'm going to deal with this kid who's pooping all the times? You know, I need toilet paper, and they have nothing at Costco, right? So no, so if you don't use condoms, I'm not going to have sex with you. So that's kind of so people, the smart people, they know how to slow down, right? So they will make less kids when the life doesn't go that easy. So maybe there was a God action or some other entity that said, you know what, let's give them some challenges, right? Let's give them some some trouble to help them recognize that their lives is so fragile, so easy to destabilize, so easy to take out of control, because everyone thinks they are in control of their lives. But one thing comes in, one little thing that has no brain. It's a freaking virus that has no brain and gets you sick, and you lose your job, or the economy goes sideways. The prime minister locked himself with the wife in the house because they are afraid to not get infected by this thing, and everyone follows the leader, saying, "Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's lock down this. Let's shut down the economy or something." So everyone gets into this fear, this panic mode, because they follow the leader, right? That's a really stupid move to do that, to show that you are the leader and you inspire people what to do. I mean, there are other ways to make people to do something smart. Maybe show up on TV and teach people, you know what, I'm the leader, this is the way I do. I maintain my personal hygiene. I do these things, or I send someone to shop for a larger group of people. Instead of everyone go shopping, we select a healthy community member from each community and we designate some guy to go shopping with a truck, and come back to the community with a truckload full of stuff. And you don't eliminate the chance of transmission, but you reduce it, right? You have other systems in place that you can inspire people coming with this wise methods. But no, you tweet out or you do something like a Trump, you take the drastic measures, and but this is not going to stop the virus. Maybe stopping the air traffic from the Europe, it might do something. But if the prime minister lock himself in a house, he will get protected, yes. But what other people do by following that? By not showing up at work because they can. In my case, I can't. I can miss work. But there are people who say, yeah, if the prime minister, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. I'm going to do whatever. My union will protect me, will defend me. And this is going into a down spiral because people who are involved into manufacturing and production of goods and services for other people, including the essentials, they are not going to show up at work. And one case is that here in North Vancouver, the elderly care facility where an older guy died because of this virus, only 3 workers showed up. And the people complain that there is no enough staff. Of course it's not enough staff, because nobody wants to go to work knowing that there are 2 cases of this virus, like an infection, and 1 guy died. I'm not going to work. I'm a union. I'm a nurse and I'm part of some freaking union and I'm being protected. So I don't care what happens with those guys, older guys. Let them pee themselves or vomit all over the place or die. I put my family first, right? So you will see this type of trouble all across the country when people don't want to show up at work because of the fear, because of the panic. But not showing up at work doesn't mean the virus will stop spreading, right? So again, these things are coming, the viruses are coming, are going, we had all sorts of other viruses and scares, and scares that the world will end in 2000s and stuff. So I'm still here, right? I don't say I did not sense the panic at the time. I was anxious. Even today, when I went to shop for some stuff, I saw that I could not find what I was looking for. So finally, I found toilet paper, which got me less anxious. Less anxious. So I got some spring water, some toilet paper, and the chocolate from Europe, like I said. And I'm going to use my own hand sanitizer, which I made, and yeah, I'll be safe and sound. I don't know, my kids and my family. So talk to you soon. Bye bye.